Hey, good evening, everyone. Just a couple more minutes, we'll get kicked off. We've got a lot of people coming in here right at time, so appreciate everybody joining. We're currently 64 people online, so give us another minute or so before we get kicked off and give it to Dennis to take over. Just a reminder, if you're not familiar with the website, please get familiar with the TWA website. That's where all of our resources are. We're killing a couple minutes here at the front of the meeting. Just want to take you through a couple of those things. Here's what your TWA website looks like once you get logged in. A couple of things there. You can see actually who's online. We've got 4 people signed in online currently as we're here. Troy and Zach, along with Dennis and myself, on here. There's a treasure trove of information here on this. Obviously, the meetings tab is what everybody's probably familiar with. And the good thing about the meetings tab, it shows you what's coming up, when our training meetings are coming up, what those dates are, the links to those. But then as soon as that meeting is over, or within a day or two of that meeting being over, the recorded video and audio from that meeting is put on there as well. So that meetings tab is really good information. You can go back and check meetings that you were on, ones that you've missed, et cetera, et cetera. There's a new calendar tab out here. We just put this on. Thanks to Billy Ray for the suggestion on this. We put a calendar tab out there with a lot of our meetings on it in kind of a calendar format, along with some of the UIL events coming up, district tournaments, regional tournaments, state tournaments, those types of things. When the season starts, you can kind of go out and take a look at those. Some of the larger tournaments will also be posted on there for everybody to see. The forum is where we discuss anything and everything, from rules discussions, generals discussions. There's been a lot of videos put out there. We're going to talk a little bit tonight about kickbacks and whether they're legal or illegal on some of those. So some of those videos are out there to be able to be viewed there as well. And so go out and see the forum, get involved in those forums and those discussions, read a lot of the input out there and see what's there. The blogs, information, you get these in email, but this is where you can go back and review those if needed. However, the biggest thing in my opinion is our resources tab. This is where anything and everything from the TWA, our Wrestling Officials Association, to the UIL, to the NFHS, all the information that we have available to us is posted out there tonight. The presentation that Dennis is going to go over, that Dan brought to us and the coaches a month ago, is out here where it says Rules Interpretations 25, 26. It's posted out there. Dennis is going to go over that as well. But again, you see everything from a TWA side all the way to the evaluations forms, the criteria, the expectations, insurance coverage. If you get into that and want to see the insurance coverage, all that is out there. So just wanted to touch on the website there and make sure that you're familiar with that and get familiar with it if you're not on there, because it's something that has anything and everything that we need on there. So the next thing that we have is testing. Dennis has been working on testing, and I have been going over the questions. We should have that testing available to us. We should have it available to us coming up early this week. So we're expecting to get that out hopefully by tomorrow, and we'll put out a note on that and let everybody know that that's available. Test 1, we've got 2 tests. Test 2 is optional for you, but test 1, all officials must take and pass test 1. Test 1 is a 75 questions from a test bank of around 225 questions, depending on what will end up there on that. You're going to get 75 randomized questions on there. The whole point of this test, first of all, you got to get a 76 on it out of there. And so you got to get a 76 just to be able to get on the mat for your insurance coverage to cover you, those types of things. And for you to be legal to officiate in the state of Texas for a UIL event with the TWA, you got to pass part 1 of the test with a 76%. But there's 75 questions on that test. Every time you take it, you can take it unlimited times. To talk to Coach Davis, he's always my example out of the DFW area. I think 34, 37 times he took it last year and did a great job on it. And but that test is out there to take multiple times. It gets you in your rule book, gets you familiar with the way your rule book and case books are set up on that. So go take that test as soon as it opens. You have to take it and pass it and be registered, obviously, with TWA before you can get out and call a match on that. So we'll look at some of those questions as we go along throughout some of the rules meetings as well. And I know Dennis will touch on the new officials clinic, or a new officials training meeting will be tomorrow night for those first year officials, maybe a second year official if you're still brand new to it, didn't get a whole lot of matches and competition last year. That meeting's tomorrow night to get you ready for the season. If you have any questions tonight as we get going along, Dennis is going to get going along. Please make sure and put those in the chat if you got questions for us tonight. Get them in the chat so it doesn't bog down the meeting, and we'll try to take care of those as soon as we can, so it doesn't throw Dennis off of his pace on there. Comments, questions, put those into there. And I know Dennis will go through this and touch on this as well. But if you've got any questions, please go to your chapter first. Your chapter leadership is your first line of defense and your first place to answer any of the questions that you may have. Go to them first. Also check the forum for any of the information that's out there. We've touched on that, and that way your questions will get answered as quickly as possible, and it helps us with standardization on that. So we've got, as of tonight, 325 officials that are registered, which is excellent. Last year, for the whole season, we had 313. So I'm pushing for 400. I think we can hit that 400 mark really well. We've got a lot of new officials this year. I'm really, really excited. And the UIL also has their eyes on our recruitment campaign from last year. So we're really excited for the amount of new officials that are coming in. And I know you're getting trained up right and getting confident as the season gets ready to start. So we're looking forward to that. The next step of that is what Dennis is going to take us into tonight, which is the rules presentation and interpretations from the NFHS that Dan shared with the state last month. Dennis will take it through that, and then through a kickback video and interpretation with some help from Dan Lang on that as well. So going to turn it over to Dennis. It's all yours. Thanks so much, everyone, for attending tonight.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it, Rex. So yeah, we're going to go through the NFHS presentation. Most of you hopefully have already seen it, so we'll go through it fairly quickly. Aren't any videos on it, so hopefully it won't slow down on y'all like last week. So with that, I'll go ahead and start sharing the presentation. So as you can see, 2526 rules interpretation set up by Dan. We'll go pretty quickly through this. Dual meet, weigh-in procedures. In the past, we've always had a random draw of the first weight that we start the dual with, and that has been done before weigh-in started, or should have been done before weigh-in started. It was a lot easier when we were handling weigh-ins. Since we're not, we're trusting the coaches that they are handling that random draw, even though it seems like 106 has been pretty random. So going forward, we'll have two choices. They can either stick with a random draw, or if the coaches agree, we'll start lightest to heaviest. So it makes it a little easier. That way they seem to like starting at 106 anyway. So now they have the choice. If the coaches cannot agree whether they want to do lowest to heaviest or the random draw, the head coach of the home school makes the decision. So it's just pretty simple rule change. I would get there before weigh-in start to make sure that whatever happens, happens right. That's just my opinion. Okay, wrestlers' uniforms. They just allow the schools now, the school name, nickname, logo, mascot, weight class, wrestler's name is all permitted on the singlet, or if they're wearing a two-piece on the top and bottom. It can be of any size. The only thing that is size rated is the manufacturer's logo, and they can only have one of those. It's 2¼ inches square. Other than that, anything else, as long as it's not obscene or unsportsmanlike or anything like that, can be of any size. So it should be pretty easy to figure that one out. The one that is really good, leg sleeves now do not need to have a pad. So they can be either the smooth silky ones or the copper fit or anything. Any knee sleeve, leg sleeve does not have to have a pad. So that will hopefully take the onus off of us to have to figure out what's the sleeve and what's the brace. Okay. They just took the wording out of it. Wrestlers shall not wear wristbands, sweatbands, bicep bands, or arm sleeves that do not contain a pad. But the leg sleeves can be worn without a pad. So near fall, they changed the wording on when we stop the tech fall situation. They used to have the wording when they come out of near fall position, we stop the match. Now they've changed it to where once we've got to a tech criteria, as soon as that defensive wrestler comes out of near fall criteria and we've got a tech fall, we blow the whistle and we stop the match. We do not allow the offensive wrestler to try and put them back to their back and continue to get a fall. So if they're 45 or under and you got your 4 count and they're up by 16, as soon as they come to 46 degrees, we're blowing our whistle and we're ending the match at that point for a tech fall. Cutbacks, we'll go over that on Dan's video. Just basically a little more wording. Anytime they leave their feet and use the foot or leg to cut out their opponent's leg, it is illegal by application. And technical violations, obviously locked hands. They changed the wording. Instead of with or without an arm included, it's with or without an extremity included, because we have that body cradle situation to where if the lock in the cradle comes up above the hip, it's a body cradle and it's locked hands. And then signals, the X above the head is no longer a signal if anybody was using that. No control. We're not flying a plane. We're not twisting our hands. We're not doing jazz hands. It should be hands in at your chest and straight out. One time, no control, and then maybe wait 10 to 15 seconds and do it again if you're still in that situation. But it should not be you're hitting it every 2 seconds, no control, and showing that signal. Also, they cleared up the 3 points. It's the OK sign. Last year, there was question whether we're doing the OK sign or we're doing the 3 middle fingers. Any 3 point is now the OK sign only, if possible. I know that we have some that that's difficult, but when possible, use the OK sign. So just the rationale on that. The X over the head was irrelevant, so they took it out. I think they wanted to clear up that no control signal and make sure everybody's doing the same thing. And then also just to clear up the 3 points. Before we go to points of emphasis, is there any questions on any of that? Pretty straightforward.
Good in the chat, Dennis.
All right. We will go to points of emphasis. All right. Skin every year. The coach has to have the NFHS UIL skin form. It's the same form, NFHS or UIL, and get it off the UIL website. If you've got a wrestler that's got some sort of skin issue, they better have the form and it better be filled out completely with every thing that's on their body, every lesion or red spot or anything that you're worried about should be marked on that sheet. It's got the pics of the body where the doctor should have put where he was treating. Okay, so if he's got a spot, if the wrestler's got a spot on his arm and it's not marked on that sheet, then it probably hasn't been treated. Okay, you need to make sure it's fully filled out with the dates, signed by the physician, with what it is, what medication they've on, when they started treatment. Okay, if they do not have this, they don't wrestle. Also, even if they have this and all the lesions that you see are on this sheet, if you see one that still looks like it's hot, red, oozing, anything like that, I don't care if they got a form, they're not going to wrestle. And you absolutely have that authority to not allow a wrestler, even with the form, to wrestle. So please make sure, for your own health, your family's health, make sure that you're watching out. I understand that we're not officially doing skin checks, and it's on the coach and the healthcare professional at the event to do those skin checks. Personally, like I said, I 99% of the time will get to an event before weigh-in start, and I will walk up and down the lines and just check skin. I won't do full butcher type skin infections or inspections, but I will do my own check just to make sure if I see anything that's pretty obvious. Obviously, with full singlets, some things are harder to see now, but you need to make sure that you're not getting anything on you that you're taking home to your family, and then you're not getting other teams are getting stuff, bringing it back to their rooms, and then we have outbreaks. So make sure they have the form, make sure it's filled out correctly, and then you absolutely have the right to override it if you feel like there's a need to.
Dennis, would you look at the chat and clarify your position on that, please?
Troy, are you asking about the AHCP?
Yeah.
And you beat me to it. You're quick. Give me just a second. I just don't want to throw Dennis off of his
No, go ahead.
off of his realm.
If it's on this subject, let's go ahead and do it.
Yeah, well, Dennis, we got one first. Are we going to have wrestlers that have the arm patch be wrapped in a certain way or wrapped at all, like the diabetes device?
Normally, if they've got some sort of constant glucose monitor, if they have it on an outside location, I know some actually wear it under their singlet, so it's not an issue. But if it is on an arm or a thigh or something like that, normally I will have them use the trainer's flex tape to tape over it just so it doesn't get knocked off, because those things can get knocked off. So yeah, it's unless somebody else has an issue with that, that's what I've always done. Get the trainer to put flex tape on it to cover it.
Okay, good. And no note needed for that, correct?
No,
Great.
not at all.
Great. Okay, second question. If the on-site healthcare professional says it's okay, even if we disagree, we have to abide by the AHCP, correct? That's a question.
No, that's not correct. We are the final word. Rex, any response to that?
No, I totally agree. We are the final word on that, Troy. Brett also had a follow-up that's happened before. We are the healthcare professional, obviously, is the professional on site, but at the end of the day, the official holds the ultimate authority on the mat.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll give you a situation, and I won't name schools, and this has been years ago. But we had 4 kids from the same school that all had funk on their backs and arms, and their trainer showed up, and coach was like, "Hey, you need to clear these guys." And the trainer looked at him for 2 seconds. He was like, "Oh, they're good to go." No, sorry, they're not good to go. Again, the head official, lead official, if you're the only official, you have the final word on any skin issues like that. Because again, if you let them on the mat, they're rolling around the mat, they get that funk on the mat, you're going through the same spots on the mat, then possibly you pick it up, bring it home to your family. The other wrestler picks it up, takes it home, takes it to their wrestling room, and now we got all kinds of issues. Especially here at the beginning of the season, absolutely err on. If you got something that you're not even sure about and they don't have a form, err on the side of caution. It's a tournament in November. I don't care. You're not going to wrestle with something that I'm not sure about. And that may be a hard ass opinion, but I'd rather it get taken care of now instead of allowing it to fester and make it worse. Any other questions on that?
Follow-up is if it's good before the match and it starts oozing mid-match, do we tape it or stop the match and not allow them to wrestle?
I'm not sure that situation would have been good before the match.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever seen one start to ooze during a match, but obviously if you see something that you didn't see before the match and you take a look at it and you decide that it's not good, then the match is over.
There's a slight not a caveat, but a slight addition to that. If you did not notice something before the match and you see it mid first period, and now you have noticed something that is illegal, that's illegal right there and not able to wrestle. But if you see something and it's approved to start competition, and then through the course of wrestling it starts to bleed or whatever, then it can be covered up. Dan, is that fair?
Well, I mean, bleeding is one thing. I mean, I'm more talking about a communicable thing, ringworm that you didn't catch. Maybe it was right above the top of the leg of the singlet to where the singlet was covering it. Then it comes up and it's right there on their thigh. Yeah, I
Right.
mean,
Right.
uh,
There's a difference between something you didn't catch and see it mid-match versus something that was approved and is now needs to be covered and repaired, right?
well, I mean, uh, on skin issues, we're not covering skin issues. We don't cover skin issues.
Yep.
So either it's good and they can wrestle, or it's not and they can't wrestle. We're not covering skin issues. I guess the only caveat to that would be a chronic like eczema that can get irritated if it's not covered with something. But then I would probably have them try using a sleeve of some sort to cover the eczema. But
Hey,
any
Dennis,
sort of communicable skin issue, that's a different story.
yeah, hey, Dennis, do you mind if I
Yeah,
jump in here for a second?
go ahead.
So remember, so the head official at each event is the one that technically would be the person that can override the appropriate healthcare provider. So if you're at a tournament, you're going to have a head official. If you're doing a dual meet by yourself, you are the head official. So just please make sure you understand, who has that ability. Two, you should be able to, if you've been around the sport very much at all, you can kind of look at a skin situation and tell if it's still hot is kind of the term that we use for it, or if it's dead, right? If the skin's peeling, if it's kind of looks like cracked skin, things like that, you're probably okay. If you see pus or other bodily fluids coming out of that area, that would still generally be considered hot. And in those situations, if you were going to overrule an appropriate healthcare provider's note, you'd want to make sure that you're 100% sure that that thing is hot. So, to my knowledge, we don't have any more physicians that are part of our ranks anymore. We did years ago, but to his credit, he was a longtime physician. He was awesome. He understood skin conditions better than any doctor I've ever seen in 30 some years. But he would tell you that when he was on the mat, he was an official. He was not a doctor. So the reason I say that is that we don't have MD or DOs behind our name. So if you're gonna throw out the cancellation card, make sure it's there.
Oh, absolutely. But just, I'll give my personal opinion here. Err on the side of caution, especially at the beginning of the season.
Great. No other questions.
Hold on. All right, coach's misconduct. When a coach comes to the table, questions the rule, and nothing changes, a coach's misconduct will be applied. Okay. I don't know if I can be any clearer on that. Anytime they question a rule, nothing changes. Anytime they question judgment, as in stalling, control, something like that, that is a misconduct and it needs to be assessed. It's not, well, he came up and asked me nicely and then walked away when I answered his question. That's That's great that he was polite, but the rule states, and it's very clear, a misconduct will be assessed. And I think we've been lax in being forceful with this rule. And the coaches, at least the coaches in DFW, are aware that we will be strict with that this year. If they have a scoring question, they can come up, and if they've got their scoring in their book different than the scorer has at the table, they can come up and check it. And if everything's good, go back to the corner, we're good. If they start coming to the table 3 and 4 times to check scoring, then maybe we're looking at a delay of match issue, and we can assess a misconduct at that point if we believe that they're purposely trying to delay the match. But for sure, if they come to the table, question the rule, nothing changes, it's a coach's misconduct. If they have a question on why you called something, on your theory of stalling or something like that, they're welcome to ask you during a break, back in the hospitality room, after the event. Great, have a conversation. But we've gone too long with allowing coaches to beat a path to the table 3 and 4 or 5, 6 times during a match without any penalty. So we need to be strict, and all the rules interpreters for every chapter have heard this same thing from me. So they should be getting the message to you if they haven't already. They should start from day 1, week from tomorrow. Season starts. Coach comes to the table, questions the rule, nothing changes. Answer the question, walk back to the center of the mat. That's going to be a coach's misconduct on whatever team it is. Okay. Any questions?
No questions.
Cool. So, first one's a warning. Okay. Second one is a team point. Okay. Third one is 2 team points and the head coach is removed. Now, doesn't matter who comes to the table, head coach, assistant coach, the misconduct always goes to the head coach. So if you're in a tournament situation and you've given the head coach a warning, and then another match comes up on another mat and his assistant comes up and gets one, you probably need to make sure and let your head official know. So, or you let that head coach know, hey, your assistant just cost you another misconduct, cost you a team point, and the next one from anybody, you're going to be gone. Okay, so that they understand what's going on. And I would, in your pre-meet, during a tournament, in your pre-meet coaches meeting, make sure and be very clear with that they need to keep up with misconducts if they've got coaches that like to go to the table, and if they have multiple coaches.
Dennis, an official Kim from the Alamo chapter says, can a wrestler in the corner challenge an official's call?
Absolutely not. I don't want to see a wrestler walking up to that table. And that is something that should be covered in your coaches meeting. If they want to have wrestlers in their corner helping to coach their wrestlers, that's great. But that wrestler should never, ever stand up and walk to that table to question an official. That's on, that's just on the coach for not having a coach there. But no, wrestlers should not come to the table.
No other questions.
So what happens? So what do we do if one does, Dennis? Do we tell them to sit down, or do we give them a warning? What do you want us to do?
We did have another
I would
question.
cover
Sorry,
that-
Dennis.
I would cover that with the coaches in the meeting and tell them. I would probably err on giving one warning, and then after that, if they do it again, then it's unsportsmanlike. But make sure you cover that in your pre-meet. A lot of the stuff that happens, all the calls that are made, should be covered in your coaches meeting so they know beforehand what can happen in the situation. Luckily, most of the kids nowadays are smart enough to not come to the table. They may make some comments from the corner, which is fine. I don't listen to them anyway. So what else?
No other questions.
Okay. This is one that we actually had a question on at our meeting. Say you've got one coach at a tournament and he decides to go ahead and get 3 misconducts. He's removed from the rest of the day. There are no adult team personnel there. And we probably should have discussed this earlier, Rex. And Dan's a rules interpreter for Houston, and any of the rules interpreters that are on the call. So do we say that team is done? Or because they wouldn't have an adult to be in charge of them? How do we handle that?
So the question is, you have one coach for a team. That coach has received his or her third misconduct, which by rule removes them from the competition. What do you do now?
Well, I think you got to find out if there's a school administrator there. If there's a school administrator, they can take the spot of being the coach, so the kids are not have to jump on the bus early.
Right. I mean, I would assume this is a very rare instance. Most teams have at least more than one adult team personnel there, whether it be trainer, administrator, whatever. But every now and then we do have the smaller programs that just have the one head coach there who drove the bus and he's the only adult with them. As much as I hate to say it, in my mind, without having adult supervision, I don't know that those wrestlers would need to stay there. And it would be a lesson learned
Here's
from the
another thought
coach.
on this. If you hit a single coach and that's the only coach and that's the only administrator, that's the only school person there, you need to have a serious talk with them after the second one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And hope that they're not, or hope that they're intelligent enough to go ahead and sit on their hands no matter what going forward. But again, I don't see it being a event that'll happen more than once every 10 years or so, but it's just something to think about. And we may discuss in our next rules interpreter meeting just to try and figure out a policy that we want to move with going forward.
Don't jinx us.
Yeah. Any other questions on misconducts?
I have a question. What if you're thrown out of the boys tournament? And
Two different tournaments. So you can, as we had it happen at,
we had it at Katy last year.
we had it at a district tournament a few years ago.
Yeah, Katy District, we had it.
Where we had boys and girls in separate gyms. So he got actually got out of the boys tournament because of unsportsmanlikes, but was still able to coach the girls tournament in that gym because he was out of the gym that the boys were in. But once the tournament moved into one gym, then the coach had to leave that gym and was not able to coach either. So,
And Dennis,
yeah.
that goes for UC, but also the same for flagrant misconduct. If there's a flagrant for something that's very flagrant in a girls tournament in the same gym, the boys tournament, they're still allowed in for that.
No, if it's what we did, if it's the same gym, then they can't be in there because they have to leave. If it's two separate gyms and they get a flagrant in the boys, and the flagrant may be a little different, but if it's unsportsmanlike or misconducts in one of the tournaments that's in a separate gym, they can go to the other gym and coach the other one. What we did, if they were in the same gym, then they had to go.
Yeah, I think we need to table this because it's specific to boys or girls. You got to figure out which one they're talking about. So let's table this and move on.
Sure. All right, out of bounds. We talked about this. Your out of bounds is just your two arms going sideways. And one of the questions that came up during the coaches and officials combined clinic, when we go out of bounds, the mechanic always was the hand up stop sign, then the out of bounds. And it was clarified that in out of bounds situations, you don't need to do the hand up for timeout situation because they're out of bounds, blow the whistle, out of bounds signal, and move back to the center. So not as much mechanics for out of bounds situations. Okay, you want to make sure you're using the standard signals only. Don't make up your own signal. There is no signal for it was almost near fall but not, or they rolled through, anything like that. We also don't have, like we talked about last week, neutral out of bounds stalling. We don't have the action signal like they do in college. So we just want to verbalize when we call the neutral out of bounds stalling, just verbalize why we called the stalling. Okay, and that just explains how to do it. Sweeping motion of both arms that they went out of bounds. And that's it on that. If for those of you that don't have the app, the rules app is a great tool to use. It's actually less expensive than the books. It's $9.99 to upload the book onto the free app. It's got search function, so you can search for keywords. It's real easy to navigate, so it's a good deal if you don't have it and you're tech savvy. So before we get to the cutback video, one thing I wanted to cover, and Rex kind of talked about it a little bit, on if you've got a rules question, if you're not sure about a rule, you should follow a procedure. First procedure is go to your rule book first and look for what the rule specifically says about whatever situation that you're wondering about. If you're still not sure about it, then your next chapter meeting, bring it up, talk about it amongst the chapter, get your chapter rules interpreter involved, and try to come to a consensus as to how the rule book reads. And if you come to a consensus on that, then great. And then if not, then your chapter rules interpreter will bring it to our next rules interpreter meeting. And we'll discuss it and figure out the best direction forward for whatever interpretation we're trying to figure out. I know we had one chapter, and I'll go ahead and just discuss it real quick on fleeing, on whether it was fleeing could be called in a situation where we're in a near fall situation. You've got two swipes, and then all of a sudden the defensive wrestler takes action all the way out of bounds, so we're completely out to get away from any more near fall points. But you already got two near fall. So what do you call? You call two near fall, and we go back to the center. The rule is very specific. 731, I believe it is. And it's right at the end. There can be no technical violation for fleeing the mat if near fall or takedown points have been earned. So if points are earned, there is no fleeing. So just, I know that was a discussion at one of the chapter meetings, and I'm not sure how it went, but yeah, 731, it's pretty clear. If you've got points scored, that defensive wrestler is absolutely able to exit the mat. Okay. Or in a takedown situation, if single leg and that defensive wrestler is hopping, trying to get away, and before he gets all the way out of bounds, that offensive wrestler gets control of both legs on the mat. Even if they go out of bounds and you already got control, you got a 3 takedown, That's not fleeing. Okay. So again, so the process should be, if you're not sure, check your rule book, check your case book, talk to your chapter, talk to other senior officials that you trust, discuss it in your chapter meetings, discuss it with your rules interpreter. And then if it needs to come all the way up to the state level, then we can talk about it at our state rules interpreter meetings. But any questions on that? So we will go ahead and bring up Dan's presentation. I understand last week, I apologize for it, that we did have some delay issues on the videos. I didn't see them on my end, but I know we've got a lot of people on the call, so it slows everything down. So we'll try and go a little slower here. And Rex will keep an eye on the chat for questions, but if you can just wait until we have that. All right, Dan, I'll go forward with it or backwards as you want me to, but I'll kind of let you kind of run through this since it's your baby.
Yeah, sounds great. So cut back. So the rule has actually been in the book for 20, 30 years. 715N. It was just simply called leg block. And then if you look in, for those of you that have the rule book this year already, they added some language says when leaving the feet and using the foot or leg to cut out an opponent's leg to include from the rear standing position. So, a couple things on this one here that you don't really see the that is not in the rule book. And I can tell you that I expect to see some stuff from the National Federation in terms of at least one interpretation, maybe a couple sometime this season from them, because they didn't quite go far enough into what they really wanted to say at the cutbacks. So I'm going to give you an advance notice on this. And this is something I'm pretty familiar with. From the college side, we kind of beat this thing up for about the past 6 years. And so a lot of this presentation is going to be based on that experience and my conversations with the Federation over the past 12 to 18 months on this particular topic. So think of it this way. When you have a wrestler that leaves both their feet, when you have a wrestler that leaves both their feet, you're in a potential cutback situation. Now, in this presentation, we're going to talk about legal and illegal, okay? So cutback itself does not mean it's bad, and it doesn't mean it's good. It could be either one. So cutback can occur from rear standing, it can occur from the front, and it can certainly occur from the side positions. It is illegal by application. The call is not dependent upon the success or the failure or the severity of the impact, okay? So Dennis, you want to go to the next one? Great. So you've got a couple of play picks that are in the rule book, and so we're going to see some videos of similar situations of these. So I'm not going to spend too much time here. Dennis, go ahead. Yeah, this is a pretty good byproduct of an illegal cutback. That happened to me when I was 17, it's my senior year in high school. Tore my ACL in half and my medial collateral. So it hurts, I can tell you that. So go ahead, Dennis. These are going to be examples of illegal cutbacks. So Dennis, go ahead and let this one roll.
Rolling.
Yeah, go ahead and hit pause. So we're starting to see more and more of that particular move at the high school level. And Dennis, go ahead and hit play again. This slows it down a little bit so you can kind of see it. He only had 1 foot on the mat. And as soon as that 1 foot came off the mat and he used it to cut out the other kid's legs, that becomes illegal upon application. So go ahead, Dennis. These are all examples of illegal cutbacks. As you can see in real time, they hit these pretty quick. And so again, when you get into certain situations, a couple of them where you've seen it where, one wrestler has the other wrestler's leg shelved up on their thigh, up in their midsection, got a hand posted on the mat, got a foot on the mat. That hand post stays on the mat. That gives them balance and leverage for that free foot to come off and hit the other kid's legs. That's going to be an illegal situation. So keep going, Dennis.
Yeah, that hand post is definitely a telltale deal in a single leg situation like that. If you see the hand post, this is an ugly one. Sorry.
So the good news is most of these, they're going to show it real time, and then they're going to go ahead and hit play, let it play. Then they're going to slow it down for you in slow motion. So just let this one go and you can kind of see it. And that's usually what you're going to see if a kid hits a pretty good illegal cutback. Got the hand post, taking out a knee, taking out an ankle. It's bad stuff.
Oh,
This is a little different variation. It's kind of referred to as the switch foot. Now this one's pretty egregious. You can see the assistant coach coming in right away saying, helping out the official with the illegal sign. And that one's definitely illegal.
Go one more time.
So one of the things that I talked about, go ahead and let this one play, and then I'll kind of give everybody some guidance after this one. Again, it's a switch foot situation. A rear standing offensive wrestler is basically jumping and switching feet. Now, here's the interesting thing: is more times than not, the switch foot is executed legally, meaning good. And so, Dennis, if you want to just hit pause for a second.
Sure.
One of the things that I've kind of spoke to our Houston officials about, and then I spoke to the officials and the coaches at the state meeting, is sequence, right? So when you see a situation where the wrestler is off their feet, right? Could be two, could be both feet, could be one, depending on, you've seen a couple different situations here where you could have either. Sequence is what you have to think about. And when I talk about sequence, it's which one hits first. If the wrestler that leaves their feet hits the mat first before they make impact with the defensive wrestler's legs, and think of the legs at anywhere from the foot all the way up to the hip, okay? If they hit the mat first before they hit the defensive wrestler's leg, that is going to be legal, right? If they make contact with the defensive wrestler's leg first and then the mat, by definition, that's going to be considered illegal, okay? So sequence, right? So part of this is to understand what situation you're in, right? You've seen a couple of them: rear standing from the side, hand posted, leg shelved, right? That's a good one to look at. Rear standing is also another good one to look at. Now that's not all of them, but those are the two primary positions that you're going to see a cutback occur. And again, a cutback can be either legal or illegal, right? Sequence is going to dictate that. Now, the hard part of that is that some of these kids hit these moves so darn fast, and you're going to see some examples here a little bit later on in the presentation. It's a 50-50 call. And folks, you have to make your best educated guess or decision in real time and go from there, okay? So if you think that it was illegal, then you make the call. It's illegal. Coach says, what did you have? I said, hey, coach, I had it illegal. I thought he hit the leg first before he hit the mat. Well, I don't agree with that. Okay, great. How are you going to decipher something in real time without video review that is a tenth or a hundredth of a second apart with the naked eye, right? So, you're going to have both. It's okay. Again, you're going to have some 50-50 calls in these situations. But the big thing is to make sure that your mind goes off and says, hey, I'm in a potential cutback situation. I've got a leg shelved. I've got a hand posted, right? I'm gonna watch for that leg that's making contact with the mat. I want to see what that does. Rear standing, hey, get ready for the switch foot, right? So just kind of train your mind so that when you see those situations, you're kind of anticipating, and that will help you a ton.
Yeah,
Dennis,
anticipation and position are your best friends here.
absolutely, absolutely. Dennis, go ahead and hit play again. You can see the switch foot again. Oh, you can go to this one. That's fine. This one's going to happen early and fast. Now just let this play because I do want to talk about something we see here in this video. So you can see the official, he's showing illegal hold, right? And they're letting wrestling continue. Now this is a college match. And so hang tight here for a second, Dennis. College has a little different rule when it comes to illegal applications or illegal holds, right? At the college level, there are situations that allow you to continue wrestling even though an illegal hold has been called. This official here, Angel Rivera, did a great job of seeing the illegal hold, right? It was a cutback, shows it. Neither wrestler is in peril or negatively impacted, so he's going to let that situation continue. Then they stop it, award the point, go on with wrestling. Play this one again, Dennis. This one happens really fast. You're going to see the Penn State kid hit the
Right, and this is
Minnesota
where
kid.
we
Right
say it's not
about
the outcome of the
here.
move.
Yeah. So that's a cutback, right? Now you could argue, well, the impact wasn't that bad, or he didn't mean it. Okay, great. Now we're bringing intent into the conversation. Don't bring intent into the conversation. It has no rule or has no bearing on what we do. It's not the rule book. Intent does not matter. Okay, it's either illegal or legal. That was illegal. He left his feet. He made contact with the defensive wrestler's legs. Right. It didn't knock him down. Right. But it's still illegal. Right. So in an illegal application like this, as soon as you see it, stop the match, show the illegal, move on.
Yeah, just to make sure everybody's clear. We stop the match immediately
Yep.
on illegal.
This one's fast, right? Right there.
Right, it's fast and it really doesn't do anything, but it's still illegal.
Again, this is a college match, but the action is universal to both high school as well as college. Why don't you hit that one again? Because we will see this one too.
You want to run it again?
Yeah, please. So you got a guy working for a takedown, right? Kid in red's defending. Kid in the black singlet's pulling that leg up. He's got it shelved, pulling it up, boom, right? Had the hand planted, takes his left leg, tries to cut him back. It's illegal by application. Stop the match, award the point, move on.
In that
Okay,
case,
so-
in that case, that you'd award the illegal point and then the takedown that he got after that, you wouldn't award.
No.
Yeah.
Once you go illegal, there's no points after that. It's a good question. Okay, so we saw the illegal moves, right? Those are examples of what you can see. Now let's spend some time going over what our with the exception of maybe one or two that you're going to see in the back half of this video presentation. These are all going to be considered legal or good. Okay, so Dennis, go ahead and let it roll. This is an example of a switch foot. So play this one again. Part of what I'm trying to do, guys, is I'm trying to create universal language so that we're talking about the same things. One of the things I've noticed over the past 12 to 18 months is that, we've got officials across the country that are saying a broomstick is the same thing as an illegal cutback. We've got the same, people saying, well, switch foot is illegal, right? No, not necessarily. A broomstick is a position. Switch foot is a move. Both can be legal. Both could be illegal, right? So cutback can be legal. Cutback can be illegal. So I want to make sure that we're working off the same terminology here, because I've really seen an uptick in confusion on this conversation with cutbacks, because people are just making up their own terms and trying to apply it and assume that that is illegal, and that's not the case. So Dennis, play this one again. Again, switch foot, right? You'll see it right there. Boom. So in that one there, you're looking for sequence where his foot hits the mat first before the other foot makes contact with the defensive wrestler's leg. Sometimes they're going to make contact with the mat twice, where that trail foot actually doesn't make contact with the defensive wrestler's leg at all, and they're using that leverage to pull him back down to the mat. So, you know, when you see this, that if you're using two-man mechanics, the assistant official is generally going to be on the backside of the action, somewhere around 7 to 8 o'clock if you're looking at a clock, and they've got the best angle and best view to see the situation to determine, you know, which in the sequence happened first. Was there contact at all with the defensive wrestler's leg? Because if you're the inside official or the only official on the mat, typically speaking, you're going to be out to the front somewhere around 2 o'clock on the clock, looking from the front back. And sometimes you're not going to be able to see if contact was made at all on the defensive wrestler's legs. So, okay, Dennis, why don't you go ahead and go to the next one, please? So this is, again, this is legal. Again, you know, we've got a situation here where got one guy, you know, he's got a hand plant, he's on one leg. He uses his free arm to basically pick the other guy's leg, right? And so a lot of times you'll see a Jonesy come out of that situation too. Jonesy tilt or cradle. Play this one again. The Rouge is so darn fast, right? But watch this. He hits it and right here, grabs him just above the ankle and pulls it, right? Puts him to his back. And if you're not really watching closely, you know, you're kind of going, shit, how'd he put him on his back? Well, he used his arm. Again, that's a legal situation. He didn't leave his feet. So because he didn't leave his feet, we're not in an illegal cutback situation, right? But, you know, that's a great move, great counter. So broomstick, go ahead and hit play down. So I'll kind of talk through this a little bit. You'll see this a lot, right? Control situation, offensive wrestler, right? They've got that leg kind of weaved in over and behind the other kid's knee. Okay, so we're good here. What you have to watch for is that trail foot, right? So he jumped back. Go hit pause for a second, Dennis. Go back for a second to that last situation. Yeah, that's good. So right here, watch the offensive wrestler's left foot. He leaves his feet, right? Right here, okay. But what's he do with it? Does he make contact with the other wrestler with that foot that was planted? The answer is no.
Yeah, he kicks
Right?
it back.
He left his foot. He jumped back. That creates some leverage for him, and you could argue a little bit of momentum. He's using both of those things to suck or pull that other wrestler back. That is a legal return out of the broomstick. Oh, you're gonna have to play this one. That last number 9, probably a couple of times because it happens pretty quick. But again, broomstick situation, right? Never left his foot. Here he leaves his foot, but he goes back away from the action and away from the wrestler. Right here, right? We're good there. Nothing wrong here. Yeah, let this one play. The Wisconsin wrestler, guy in the all red singlet with the white trim, he's going to throw a broomstick in right about there. Okay. Again, his left foot never leaves the mat, but he's able to return him. So it's a legal or good situation. Okay.
Yeah,
This
it's basically
situation here, we kind of saw earlier, some earlier examples of this, right? Watch this. This could be like the Penn State match. Play that one again. Yeah, you can just go back. Yeah. Now, Dennis, my notes are probably on your side of the presentation on this one.
Yeah.
Just let it play. Just let it play. Every time you go back to hit pause or start, you're pulling it all the way to the back. So you can hit it on the bar and it should stop it, but let it. No, get off the bar. Get off that. There you go. So Dennis, get ready to hit pause. Pause. All right. So Dennis, on your side, you got the presentation that I did. You should see some talking notes down below on this slide. Yep, there we go. No, go back to that slide. Go back to Broomstick 15. Go back to, oh.
Yeah, it's on this one.
It's number 9 in the verbiage down below. Let's see here. I'm gonna go down a little bit. Last video. Go up just slightly. No. Go down to the language, narrative, text. There you go. Last video. So that one's illegal. Okay. So contact is made on the defending wrestler's foot by the attacking wrestler's left foot ankle at 40-21, right? So that one's a tough one because you're kind of going, man, I'm not sure if he hit the mat first or if he hit the kid's foot or ankle first. And you're going to have those types of situations and those types of calls. And again, these happen pretty quick and in real time. And you've just got to go with what you see, what you think you see. That's maybe a better way to put it. And if you think that they made contact with the wrestler's leg before they hit the mat, then it's illegal, right? If you're sure that they made contact with the mat first and then contact with the defensive wrestler's leg or foot or ankle second, okay, you're illegal, right? So these are just some examples of mostly legal, but there's also some illegal situations as well. So, Dennis, have we put this up on the TWA website yet?
Rex, I believe we put it up, right?
This one has not been loaded, Dan. I'll need to get that somehow from you. I've got the other one up. I've got the rules presentation, but not this video.
Yeah, I mean, if we can put this up on the website, because good questions, and folks, this is hard to call. I mean, it is really hard to call. And I can tell you that at the NCAA level, the best way that we found to deal with these situations is that if you see a cutback situation, don't call it, stop, go watch it on video review. Then you've got time to slow the video down and check it out and confirm it was either legal or illegal, and then come back and make the call. Now at the high school level, we don't have that luxury, and we probably won't for some time. So, again, do your best. Even if it's a 50-50 situation, just go with what your eyes tell you, what your gut tells you, right? And I don't think the coaches are going to argue about this one too much, because the ones that I've talked to so far, they're like, wow, this is hard to call. I'm like, yeah, it is. So, and if they want to go to the table, you can pull it out of your bag of tricks and hit them with coach misconduct if you want to. So,
I have a quick question on this. If you're unsure, should you err on the side of caution then?
I'm going to tell you, you got to make your best decision. Use your best judgment. It's not right for me to tell you to call it illegal or legal. You've got to be able to see it and make a decision. But the thing that I would ask everybody that's officiating is you better know the rule, right? Understand sequence.
Fair
Keep
enough.
it simple. Right.
Right.
Try to keep this.
Sorry, yeah. With the positioning and anticipation, if you got a kid that's got his leg up in a single, and he posts that hand, and you see his other foot start to lift up, I don't have a problem with calling PD right there.
No. Hold on, guys.
So?
No, these are not PD situations. What you're seeing here, this is either legal or illegal. Okay, we are not calling potentially dangerous. We're not calling unnecessary roughness. We're calling it legal or illegal. This is where I'm seeing a lot of confusion across the country, right? A lot of officials are just saying, maybe that's PD. No, it's either legal or illegal. Okay. Remember what I shared with you earlier. Sequence. Which makes contact first? Okay.
Dan, what about the front trip?
What about it?
Is that the side of it or illegal, depending on how he lands or what?
Well, I'm not sure the front trip would fall into the cutback conversation. If you got some video and you want to send it to me, happy to look at it.
Yeah,
Dennis, I think there's
send it
one
to
more
your chapter rules
set of
interpreter,
videos.
and we can deal with it.
Yeah, so that one's quick. He jumps in, and when you hang on for a second, Dennis, that's fine. On number 9, where he kind of jumps in deep, right here. Yeah. So that's, from what I can tell, and I slowed this down a bunch, that looks like it's legal, meaning it's okay. His feet land outside of the defensive wrestler's feet. They hit the mat before they make contact, if they make contact at all, and he just simply pulls them back. So, but again, that's a situation that goes by, that happens really fast, and you have to do your best to try to anticipate. He can hit play again, Dennis, if you want. That's fine. Go back one more slide. There's one more after this too. This is a tough one. Oh, no, sorry, that one's easy. Yeah, this one's tough. If you can replay that one, you can leave it right there for a while. All right, stop. Hang on right there. Okay, so this is about as clean as you're going to get on this particular video, right? So you've got the right foot down of the attacking wrestler on the mat. You got his left foot making contact behind the other kid's left leg, and this one is, from memory, I think this is 100th of a second difference, and he makes contact with the mat ever so slightly before he makes contact with the kid's leg. And the only way that I could really ascertain which situation we had, meaning legal or illegal, was to slow this thing down about 4 times and watch it. Now, if you see that in real time, hey, you got a 50-50 call, folks, and it's okay. If you call it legal, fine. If you call it illegal, fine. You just got to be able to defend your call, right? And go back to what we talked about earlier with sequence, right? Which one hit first? That's, if you can explain that simple equation to the coach, if they ask you about a cutback, hey, I had him hitting the mat before I had him hitting your wrestler. That's why I called it legal. Or vice versa. I had him hitting your kid's leg before I had him hitting the mat. That's why I called it the illegal, right? Either one's fine. But you guys are going to have to anticipate, watch it, make a quick decision, make a call if you got to make a call, and move on. All right, next slide. Yeah, leave it here for a second. So which one, again, let's go back to sequence for a second, because I really want to simplify this as much as we can for you guys so that it's easily understood. And there's a lot of different stuff that is being bantered about right now with cutbacks, and a lot of it is kind of noise. So simplify everything as much as you can, right? Sequence. Which happened first? Was there contact with the defensive wrestler's leg, foot, or ankle? Or did the other wrestlers, free foot hit the mat first, right? There's your starting point. Okay, if you make contact with the defensive wrestler's leg first, you're illegal. If you make contact with the mat first, okay, you're legal, right? It's as simple as that. And again, just try to anticipate, right? Look for telltale situations where, you could see a cutback situation occur. And, a couple of good examples that we saw, right? Leg is shelved up, hands planted or posted on the mat. Hey, what's that free foot doing from the defending wrestler, right? Rear standing position, right? What's that offensive wrestler doing, right? Focus on the lower half, right? Knees down. That's where the action is going to take place in these cutback situations. So There's one other item that's been in the book for a long time, and I think that's what was universally understood as a cutback up until this year. And again, if you go into your book, when you get your books, if you don't already have them, it's rule 715X, like Xerox. Rear standing, double knee kickback. There's actually a picture of that in the rule book. Give me a second here, I'll tell you where it is. That's been illegal for as long as I can remember, and I'm kind of old, so tells you it's been around for a while. That is definitely illegal, but that is a different form of what many people refer to as a cutback, but that is actually referred to as a kickback, and it's a double knee rear standing kickback. And if you've ever seen that, rear standing position, offensive wrestler leaves their feet and takes both their feet and buries it basically somewhere between the back of the other wrestler's knees all the way down to their ankles. And that one's going to leave a mark too. The picture of that is on page 77, illustration 88. And anywhere between the knees, from the knees down to, the ankles, that's going to do some pretty serious damage to the other wrestler. So with that, let me see if I covered all your questions here. Let's see. No, we're not going to call potentially dangerous, guys. It's either legal or illegal. Okay. Kim covered the kickback versus the cutback. Jake, we covered the Jonesy, right? The arm, the pick. We covered that one in there too. So I think that was all we had in terms of the questions. But Dennis, if you don't mind, we'll kind of open it up a little bit and see if anybody else has got questions. I'm happy to try to answer them. Yeah, Rex and Kim. Yeah, those are both good examples of the rear standing double knee kickback. Thank you for putting those up. And then, folks, we'll try to get this up on the TWA State website for you. And I would encourage you. The video itself, if you hit it from start to finish, is about 4 minutes. But you can spend some time in here and slow down these videos and kind of watch for which happens first in sequence. Familiarize yourself with, just basic terminology, right? Broomstick, switchfoot, Jonesy, right? Jonesy's using the arm. So, that'll help kind of create a nice level playing field for you so that when these situations happen, you're prepared. And again, plan on them happening pretty fast. And hopefully that, you guys have done a good job of mentally training before you get on the mat. When you get into a situation, you're like, aha, there's a cutback situation. Now, which one happened first, right? Just make a call. That's it.
I do have a question, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, my question is, this could be a form of stalling, if you will.
I don't think so.
What is the connotation for that if it's not a form of stalling? Because those individuals are getting off the mat, but not in the field of play, if you will.
Well, Nathan, what's the definition of stalling? Let's start there.
Not engaging.
Okay. So in these videos, these guys are engaging, aren't they?
They are engaging, but they are.
So that's why it's not stalling, Nathan.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. I agree with Dan. I wouldn't say this is stalling. More as it's trying to break them back down to the mat.
I would think that they would be in the outside boundaries of the playing field. Therefore, they are not actual legal players.
Hey, Nathan, I'm going to make this really simple for you. This is not a stalling situation. I would encourage you to go, and I know you're a new official, and there's a lot to digest as a new
right.
But I would dig into what stalling examples are, and there's some great examples of that in the case book. But none of the stuff that we just talked about on cutbacks is anywhere in the immediate neighborhood of stalling at all.
But could
Yeah.
it be that the defensive person could even try to go back into the playing field and
Yeah, Nathan,
try
are you
to?
a judo guy?
Yes,
Or
I'm
okay,
actually a jujitsu guy. I'm a green
okay,
belt in
yeah,
jujitsu under
okay,
Yeah.
yeah. I was
So,
kind of getting that
Edgar Santos. Yeah.
so
from your
Nathan, we don't have a
description.
playing field. We have a wrestling mat.
Yeah.
And again, I
Nathan,
don't
where are
mean
you
to
out of?
cut you off here, Nathan, but I want to be
No
respectful
worries.
of everyone's time. I would
No worries.
encourage you to dig into your casebook. I'd also encourage you to talk to your local rules interpreter as well.
Yeah,
These
where
are
are
not
you out
Right.
small
of?
situations.
And I'm really confused because I mean, I have talked to Jesse as well, and the thing is, I'm trying to get out of the jujitsu and MMA area of that, but I'm just like, I want to make sure that we're all on the same page, and that's where I get confused and a little scared because I'm like, I just want to make sure that I can get out of the jujitsu, judo, and all
Oh,
that.
absolutely.
Hey Nathan, we'll get you there. Tim
Yeah,
Murphy and Jesse will get you where you need to out
right.
at Amarillo. They'll get you involved in those. So we'll point you to those and keep our meeting going.
Yeah, my biggest advice,
Absolutely.
Nathan, would be to try and take all that jujitsu out of your head when you're thinking about wrestling, and like Dan said, get in your rule book, get in your case book, get with Tim up there in Amarillo, go to some of the inter squad events, even if you're not working them, go just sit at the table and watch the referees work and pick their brains about the calls that
Right.
they're making.
And that's
And
the
that,
only thing where I haven't been able to go to is to actually do application. But the one thing is I'm trying to get out of that mindset. You know what I'm
right,
saying? Is
absolutely,
that
absolutely. Yeah,
mindset.
that's something that Tim and Jesse and those guys can help you out with. So we'll go ahead and move forward. What anybody else got anything on the cutback stuff?
Um, the other thing you can do too is really between YouTube has some great content on different stuff, and Flow has some great content, and just the internet in general. You can type in whatever you want in the search engine, and you can pull up a bunch of stuff in the sport of wrestling. College wrestling just started yesterday, and so there's some content out there. But watch the college matches. Just as much as you can, just to get some content. Watch how they're calling stalling. Um, watch what they're doing on the out of bounds from the neutral situation. I mean, those are the Big Ten, the ACC, Big 12. Those are three great conferences where you can see a lot of their matches online, and there's some really good officials that are on the mat there. And watch for the consistency, right? When wrestlers get into certain situations, just in general, on the edge of the mat, on the way to the mat, all control, no control. Um, you know, get your mind thinking about it, right? See what these guys are calling and why, and then make sure you spend a lot of time in the book as well as the case manual. And then the other thing too is make sure you've got at least one mentor or a group of folks that you can ask questions with locally or not locally, and just talk through situations, right? I mean, um, I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm still part of a group across the country, and we're talking about stuff weekly, and it's great because there's a lot of gray area in what we do and what we have to call. And when you're in the gray area, the book is not going to be definitive, right? And so you kind of talk through those situations, and you think about it from different sides, and you learn, you grow, and hopefully you get better at making calls. So I appreciate it, everybody. Thanks for your time. And if you have questions, certainly get with your local rules interpreter. Great resources, and make sure you understand the rules as best as you can. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it. All right. Before we get done here, for you first, second year guys, hope to see you tomorrow night. We got a good presentation for y'all. Hopefully about an hour or so, depending on questions. So just come ready with questions and ready to learn. So I appreciate everybody. If we don't have any other questions, we'll go ahead and call it a night.
That's it. Thanks, everyone. See the new officials tomorrow evening. Get on the website. Check out the resources there.
Thank you.